Hey, Jeff.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in, man. We're super excited to have someone like yourself who's using the product in an everyday situation for your profession, for what you do. And it's so valuable to have content creators a part of this journey because we're really excited about the potentials for TriplePlay utility to help yourself, people like you, in just doing what you do best. So in the time that you've had with TriplePlay, are there any new features or any elements of it that really stand out and help you take your creation to the next level?
Yeah. Well, I'll say the new way to set up the TriplePlay, big game changer for me, especially because there used to be this process of sort of working with the host, and the host was really great in its own way, right? But when I wanted to break outside of the host, I found myself a little bit more limited, and I was so pleased to hear that you were working on a version that said, let's just decouple those things for folks who work in the studio who want to use it more like, more of a standard MIDI controller type that doesn't have as many surprises, and is, more focused on just kind of creating things in a more simple way. And the minute that I started using that tool and basically just you turn on the utility, shut it off, plug in, start going, I was like, this is the best thing ever. The very first thing that I did when I got the Express was I layered my first guitar take, right? I just recorded what it was going to be a guitar riff, right? That wasn't going to have any layering. And because it was tracking the MIDI so accurately, I just stacked and stacked and stacked. And I was like, nobody's ever heard a guitar that sounds like this before. So I saved it, and then I made another one, and then I made another one. It's so fast and easy to get started with something like that. It's kind of like a magical experience once everything starts rolling, you know what I mean?
That's cool.
So huge fan.
You said decoupling, which I think is a great way to think about it. We've really focused on making the utility the fastest way to explore the different parameters and ultimately the sound sets that you can make with the device. We started with a philosophy of almost live use oriented. There's so many parameters and configurations that for every synth that you might want to explore. And I mean, we're going from a stringed instrument to a wind instrument or a completely non-real instrument like a synthesizer. There's so many ways to do that translation. And so, of course, TriplePlay, as you know, comes with a lot of different parameters for how to control the virtual instrument. But we always oriented it towards a live use case, or at least that was more of the focus. And so we wanted our users to be able to press a button or a foot switch, and the device would load in a whole new set of all those parameters like that on the fly. So you didn't have to configure anything on stage. But really, the more we saw people like yourself getting into the product, the more we realized we really wanted to open up that configurability and make it so much more quick to get into those parameters. So you could sit there and explore with your own, sure, that piano probably doesn't want pitch bend, but maybe it sounds kind of cool in a certain case, with it, and just really open the window a little bit and allow you to break out of those patch-based mentalities and get into a more direct sound. Because you're ultimately the kind of person who knows what you're looking for. You have that sound in your head, and we just wanted to let you get there as quickly as possible with TriplePlay.
Yeah, and you did.
That's awesome.
So it's really like... it was one of those things where I thought that somebody was reading my mind when I heard about the new update. Now, I always think that everybody at Fishman is extremely competent and oftentimes ahead of the curve. And there was a moment like that when I was like, yeah, they know what somebody like me is looking for.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you want. Was there any heated internal discussion about the fact that the utility and the Express, the new setup, was going to feel like a tool as opposed to a big full package with all these different sounds and everything like that? Like in some ways you're simplifying the TriplePlay experience.
True.
But in a way, opening it up at the same time for people like me. That couldn't have been an easy decision to make with so much history with the TriplePlay already.
Oh, you said it with history. And when we started this journey, I want to say 15 years ago or thereabouts, the landscape of virtual instruments and people's familiarity with them, it wasn't as mainstream, and there wasn't as much available out there as we have today. We really wanted people, our customers, guitarists, to not have to have a deep background in studio production work or even MIDI to be able to jump in with the product and start using it. We felt it was really important to give someone the ability to start making music right out of the box. In order to really facilitate that, We ensured that the product had huge patch library support. In many cases, it came with virtual instruments right out of the box. So from the beginning, there was an ethos or almost a mentality of TriplePlay having an entire ecosystem of sounds and ways to interact with those plugins and so on and so forth. The world's changed. The world's evolved. The world of digital music production has just exploded. The amount of plugins and synths and instruments that are available to creators is just, we can't keep up. And we don't need to, because the maturity level of our customers in knowing what to look for, knowing what they want, or they already have plugins and synths and presets that they've developed that are very unique to them. We just wanted to give them the ability to use those things they already have as quickly as possible. Once we took a look at how our customer base was starting to use the product and how that landscape has changed, it spoke for itself. And we realized the TriplePlay utility is the way to go.
Yeah, definitely the right move.
I should say we're of course going to continue supporting the VST host software. All of this has been developed with the entire customer base in mind, right? So we're certainly not abandoning any functionality or taking anything away. It's really just supporting an evolving and a new common use case.
So the host works with the Express. Like, it's not like they're incompatible.
So yes, along those lines, the utility is going to be available for all TriplePlay customers, just as the host has been available for all TriplePlay customers. All software for TriplePlay is available for all hardware for TriplePlay, because again, that's the ecosystem, the holistic ecosystem mindset that I mentioned. So if you have a wireless, you'll be able to use the TriplePlay utility from the get-go. Just download it from the website and get going. And to that end, we've actually made it a lot easier to access the different TriplePlay software resources available. So at the time this launches, the website has a completely new interface for getting to the downloads pages. To access the utility, you don't need to have an account created even. We just really wanted to make it easier and easier for everyone to get going as quickly as possible. It's TriplePlay Express after all, right? So it's kind of in the name. When you hit the website, and I'm sure you've already experienced this, there's a ton of new video content, really video course material. It's an entire user course, almost like a masterclass series on the use of TriplePlay, all of the products, from how to install it to how to get the software up and running, and then walking you through every new feature of the utility and also the host and also the iPad application. It's really the fastest way to just see what the product's about, get your feet wet into how am I going to use it, and then hopefully be inspired as to, different content, different production, different music that you want to start making. Make it as fast as possible. So I hope you check that out.
Yeah, I imagine there's probably like a light getting started part of it, right? And then I assume it gets more detailed and you can learn every nook and cranny of the TriplePlay, everything if you wanted to with these new videos.
There's something like 40 or more videos that go into a lot of depth to all the features of the utility, of the host, the hardware. So it's really a lot of content for people who want to get deeper and really understand every single feature. It's there. I should mention the utility application itself is very self-documenting. You hover over something and it tells you what that parameter does. So again, we're trying to make it as easy as possible to get moving. Just point and click, little trial and error, and you'll hear the results right away.
Yeah, I use the tooltip stuff. That's how I learned the utility app when I first booted it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've actually read the TriplePlay documentation yet because I haven't had to, which is really wonderful. I'm a big believer in sort of putting everything that people need exactly where they're at that moment.
Totally.
We have those little icons, you hover over, you see the tips, brilliant stuff. And there's a couple of things that are like not as self-explanatory. Mm-hmm. They're kind of necessary features, but wrapping your head around exactly how that stuff works, you sort of need those guides there to, hold your hand.
Yep.
And it really, it's like the difference between plugging something in, being a little bit unsure, spending 2 minutes just kind of looking at the tips in there and then, starting to make music, or in cases where things go really wrong, Googling for like 2.5 hours to figure out what's going on. Yes. So you've sort of eliminated that entire potential problem just by putting things where people are,
There's only so much you can fit into a tooltip. So most of the functionality is very either self-explanatory or you can understand it right there and then adjust it and hear the difference now that you know what you're listening for. And of course, there's deeper modes, especially in some of the deeper MIDI functionality between like mono and poly mode, where that's not immediately intuitive. So yes, we have a tooltip there, kind of leads you in the right direction, but that's really where the course is for. You'll get a nice video verbal description with examples of when and why you would use those two different modes.